Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Saturday morning practice. We'll be spending the next hour and a half together in what I call the boot camp. And lately, I've been calling also the sanctuary. We meet together once a week to share compassion, loving kindness, empathy, and equanimity. So today we are going to be doing breathing exercise at the end, what we call pana. Pana means breathing with your stomach. Pranayama. Yama means the practice. And this turned out to be a very important part of our um, health maintenance. Now, this exercise that we do at the end has a foundation from Tai Chi, a little bit modified from Tai Chi, focus more on the mind as well as on our body. So Tai Chi has a way of going back to the roots, going back to our ancestors, the original uh, evolution, the original evolution. So we focus on the joints and not just the joints in the upper body, but also joints on the lower part of the body. In that sense, when we were all four, working on all four, the wrist is similar to um, the heel, the elbow is similar to the knee, and then the shoulder is similar to the hip, right? So we're going to be doing some joint exercise first, starting with the upper body. But again, this is both a exercise on the body as well as the mind. And here we talk a great deal about qi. Qi comes from a Chinese word that could be translated into life energy. It's the bridge between the mind and the body. So I want you to come back to your body first, mind, body together. I want you to focus on the lower part of your spine. I want you to go from the bottom of your spine to the top of the head, move along the spine, climb up the spine, stretch the spine towards the ceiling one joint at a time. While you're doing that, I want you to focus on the change in your body. And then I want you to lean back the upper torso, feel the lightness of your body as you lean back, putting the weight on your spine and not using your muscle. Then I want you to lift up your shoulder and then open your shoulder and then relax the shoulder. Now we're ready to do joint exercise, starting with the wrist. I want you to feel your wrist. Then to the elbow, I want you to feel your elbow. Then to the shoulder, I want you to feel your shoulder. Now I want you to anchor your mind on the center of your palm, put your hand together, bring them up, mind, body together, all the way up to the shoulder level. Now we're going to start doing joint exercise on the wrist. I want you to focus on the wrist. And we're going to turn the wrist one turn at a time. But before we do that, I want you to understand that we're going to be turning it very mindfully. And so there is a beginning and the end. And before we turn our wrist, I want you to bring your mind back, examine your mind, make sure that your mind is actually on your wrist. And then I want you to turn. And as you turn, I want you to continue to focus on your wrist, examine any change on your wrist. And then when you get to the end, you have to you have to recommit, start again, back to the beginning, turn again, back to the beginning, one turn at a time, one turn at a time, one turn at a time. Continue to feel the change in your wrists, however minute the change might be, however minor the feeling might be. It takes a lot of work to actually feel the change in your wrist. Now I want you to turn the other way, but before you turn the other way, make sure that your mind is still anchored on your wrist. One turn at a time, one turn at a time, one turn at a time. Now I want you to lower your wrist, lower your hand, make sure your mind is at the center of your palm, bring it back down the same way you brought it up. Now I want you to come back to the spine, stretch the spine, lift up the shoulder, lean back the upper torso, open the shoulder, relax the shoulder, relax the spine. We're going from the wrist to the elbow. So once again, come back to the center of your palm, bring it up. Focus on your elbow. Turn one turn at a time, one turn at a time. Examine the change in your elbow. Every time you come to the end, recommit to the next one at a time. So here we talk about the 37 factors of enlightenment and how it's actually built up of seven overlapping pieces. One of the pieces is called the five faculties. And in that five faculties, the first three is faith, diligence, and mindfulness. This is the foundation. So mindfulness means I anchor my mind on my body or I anchor my mind on my breath. Diligence means that every time, every turn, when you finish, you recommit. Now we're going to turn the other way. And then faith would become confidence. At first, it's just about faith that this is the right place for you to be. There are friends you've been here that actually have benefited from the exercise, and that is your faith. And but it's more important that you develop your own confidence. Now I want you to lower your hand back to the center of your palm, bring it back down. Once again, stretch your spine, lift up your shoulder, lean back, open your shoulder, relax. Back to the center of your palm again. This time we're going to be doing joint exercise on the shoulder. So we're going to bring up our hands, cross a hand, stay focused on the center of your palm, bring it in front of you, bring it on top of you. And then I want you to stretch as hard as you can. And then before you come down, I want you to focus on the center of your palm, turn your wrist outward, open that shoulder, feel the pain on your shoulder, let go of the pain, come back to the center of your palm. Everyone is individual, right? Every time you make a turn, you finish, you leave it behind, you start from zero. Bring it back up, focus on the center of your palm, in front of you, on top of you, stretch, focus on the center of your palm, bring it back down, wrists 90-degree, palm facing outward, feel the pain on your shoulder. One more time, bring it up, stretch, open the shoulder, bring it back down. Now we're going to turn the other way. Open first, focus on your shoulder, focus on your center of your palm, feel the shoulder, bring it back down. Open first, follow the center of your palm, stretch, bring it back down. Open the shoulder, stretch, bring it back down. One more time, open the shoulder, stretch, and then bring it back down. Now we're going to do from front to back. Front to back. We're going to be causing some pain on your shoulder, and that's actually the vehicle for our mindfulness practice. And we're actually practicing one of the four foundational mindfulness. So when we talk about the 37 factors of enlightenment, the seven overlapping pieces, one of that is the five faculties, and the other one is called the four foundations of mindfulness. Within that four foundation, one of that is called feeling, sensation, right? Sensation in your body, how you should accept your sensation and then let go of the sensation. Understand the pain, but don't let it metastasize into suffering, all right? All right, so once again, back to the spine, lift up the spine, open the shoulder, lean back, relax. Focus on the center of your palm, bring it up in front of you, very slowly on top of you. Now open it as far back as you can. Feel that pain on your shoulder. Let go of the pain. Come back to the center of palm. Don't follow the pain. Don't follow the pain. Pain is already gone. You follow that, that becomes suffering. That is your stress. Open it, feel it, accept it, bring it back up. As far back as you can, feel the pain on your shoulder, accept that pain, let go of the pain, focus on the center palm, let it go, but feel it, accept it, and then let it go. One more time, feel it, accept it, and then let it go. Sit up straight, hands in the back, lift it up, stretch, down, all the way to the back, stretch, bring it back down. Always focus on the center of your palm. Bring it up, stretch, bring it back down. One more time, stretch, and then bring it back down. Now, meditation doesn't mean sitting. Meditation just means anchor your mind on your body or your breath. And so when we're moving, whether we're doing exercise or walking, then we anchor our mind on our body, especially when you're walking. When you're walking, anchor your mind on the bottom of your feet. Okay, one step at a time. All right. Now, when you're stationary, then we meditate on our breath. Okay, so most of the time we think that, oh, meditation means sitting. Well, people start to understand that, oh yeah, we got it. So it's just not sitting, it's standing as well. uh, or it can be lying down meditation, but actually meditation can be done while you're walking, right, or while you're doing exercise. It's all just anchoring your mind on your body, on your breath. Now we're going to be doing meditation in stationary form, sitting, which means that our mind need to be come back to our breath. And we just start with knowing, I know that I'm breathing in. I know that I'm breathing out, one breath at a time. Now, this is especially when you just finish an energetic exercise. The first thing we want to do is just come back, focus on your breath, examine your breath, right? You're going to find that you're actually doing a little bit of huffing and puffing. Your breath is very rough, which means that your mind is very rough. And so it's very important to come back and restore that harmony by just focusing on your breath. I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. And what you find is that it's like petting on your German Shepherd, right? He's barking, and then you just go down and just kind of touch it, whisper to it. And it's like whispering to your own breath. I know you're breathing in. I know you're breathing out. And you just, and all of a sudden you're calming down because the breath is a funny thing. Breath is the only biological function that can be autonomous. You don't have to think about it. You breathe on your own. And at the same time, it can also be something you control. It's the only thing you can do, right? Or well, actually, there are other things you can do, but it takes a lot of practice. But anyway, you want to come back to that. Now, I'm going to continue to do exercise. We have one more exercise that focus on the pain on the shoulder and how we practice what's called the mindfulness of feeling, mindfulness of sensation. Last week, after the class, remember last week I talked a great deal about stress and how stress promotes our sympathetic nerve, our fight or flight, right? And how that can actually, if we have prolonged stress, then we have um, it actually causes a problem. We would lose our ability to self heal, and therefore our body will inflame. Right. So I talk a great deal about that. And so after class, somebody, student, commented on the video, on the YouTube video, and says, "Danny, what do I do if I have a very stressful job?" I didn't answer right away because it takes a long time to answer. That's one. And the other one is that there's no need to answer because our class is about managing stress. So there's no reason for me to answer separately if you don't even come to class. So I hope that the student is here today and listen to what I have to say. So let me analyze this question. This question is, what do I do if I have a stressful job? Now, there is something called dangerous job. So if your job is such that it puts you in danger every day, whether you are a fireman, a policeman, a soldier, or astronaut, where your life is in danger all the time, that would explain the stress. But most of us are not like that. Most of us have a 9 to 5 job, but it's still very stressful. But then the stress doesn't come from the job because the job itself is not dangerous. You're there to work for a living, whether you're behind the computer or behind the sales counter, whatever. The job itself is not dangerous, but yet it's very stressful. So the stress doesn't come from the job. The stress comes from the environment and the people around you, which means that it can be very stressful even when you're not working. So a job is something you go and you get paid for, but that doesn't mean that there are activities and environments that would cause stress, even if you don't get paid for it, right? So I talk about the 2 dogs I have, and the German Shepherd is having some problem with the stomach, diarrhea, and all that. So my wife and I, every day, every other day, we have to clean the floor and all that. It's very stressful. Now we understand that perhaps it's come from separation anxiety, and I talked about last week, and we talk about the different meridians, and I always said that, in the little fingers, one side is the mind, the other side is the small intestines. So the small intestine, your digestions are very much tied to your mind. So if your mind is under stress, you're going to have stomach problem, or vice versa. If you eat well, you actually enjoy your food, it actually kind of give you some comfort. So there's all kinds of reasons to having stress, right? But still, let me come back to the job that is actually dangerous. So I remember back in the days, in the early 70s, when I first came to the United States, I was in high school. Every other day, well, not every other day, every other month, we would shoot a rocket to the moon. That was when the Apollo program was still active. And we would get around the television and watch amazing things, right? Taking people shoot up the sky, land on the moon, or circle around the moon. What a wonderful feat. And so I remember one day on the television, there were only three channels back then: ABC, NBC, and CBS, right? Not like today. And so they were interviewing the astronauts, and then they said, "Well, what is the hardest part in your training?" And I'm thinking, like, oh, that must be like how to walk on the moon, how to live in a zero gravity, how to survive 15 days, in the isolated. That's what I was thinking. No, the astronaut says the hardest part of our training is how to go to sleep the night before takeoff. Wow, that is stressful. Right? It's going to climb into this little thing, shoot up this moon, and then who knows what's going to happen. That is a stressful job. Not only that, it's a dangerous job, but it's a stressful job. But they trained themselves. They trained themselves to just go to sleep. Because if you don't go to sleep, you're not going to have all of you to be, you're not going to be there. And then the stress will kill you, right? So to come back to the question from the student, which is a very good question, is what do I do if I have a stressful job? Then my answer to that is that it has nothing to do with the job, right? Even when you have a dangerous job, you have to manage stress, or you don't have a job. You're retired, you still have to manage stress. I manage stress every time I go to travel, right? So it's all about how to manage the stress. It's a simple problem. It's the same as saying, how do I manage suffering? Well, don't let the pain become suffering. Don't let it metastasize it into suffering. Whatever it is that you feel, learn to accept it. Learn to feel it, accept it, and then let it go. Right? And you say, well, that is difficult. Of course it's difficult. Why am I here? Right? I don't have a pill for you that you can take and all your stress goes away. Well, actually there is, but you don't want to do that. So it's all about really learning yourself and how your body and your breath reacted to stress. And let them be the precursor. Let them be the canary in the cave. So as long as while you're doing this practice over time, um, whenever there's stress, your body will tell you, or your breath will tell you, and then you would say, "Okay, I know what it is. I'm not going to follow it. Just let it go." Okay. So yesterday I was telling my Cantonese students a story, because on every Friday we do only exercise. So it's I need to kind of make it a little bit more interesting. So I said, here I am teaching you how to manage pain and not let it metastasize into suffering, and how to go from, not go, how to accept physical stress and not it become mental stress, and I put it in a very simple term: feel it, accept it, let it go, right? Like that. So a couple of weeks ago, and when we first got the dog, we had him for 5 weeks now. It's amazing. And we have 4 more weeks, and then I'll be on vacation after that. I really do need one. And anyway, so at the beginning, I was walking both of them, the tiny ones in the back and the big German Shepherd in the front. And so the big German Shepherd is going one way, and the dog's going the other way, and I'm going like this. And then we walk down the street, turn the corner, and then all of a sudden somebody yelled at me, "Hey, pick up your shit!" I said, that couldn't be me. That's not me. I got my goggle, my mask, my headlamp, my 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 uh, my gloves, my my bag, and I even have a bottle of water in case I have to wash it. That's not me. I pick up my shit. But I said, I got to figure out who that is, because that's happens in the neighborhood, or it's in all neighborhoods. People just don't pick it up. So I turned around and said, who is that? No, there was nobody else. There was just me and the two dogs and the guy across the street. And he was pointing at me. He said, pick up your shit. I said, what shit? They haven't shit yet. And then he said, but they did. Oh, I looked back and said, oh, to, I was going like this and like this, and the little one was shitting all over the place. And all my negativities rose, and I was embarrassed. I was really uncomfortable. Okay, all the emotion, just embarrassment, angry, and all that comes to me. And all of a sudden, I remember, oh, okay, feel it, accept it, and then let it go. Feel it, accept it, and then let it go, and then just let it settle. And then I wave and say, "Thank you." Pick up the shit and just walk. That is stress. It's not dangerous, but it is stress. All right. I'm not making fun of the question. I'm not making fun of the student. I'm just saying that that's a life. It's very stressful. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter if you're an astronaut or you're someone like me who retired and have to take care of dogs that doesn't even belong to me. It's your choice. And the choice comes back to, are you committed to your training? Are you committed to your training? And here we're going to train. All right. There's plenty of stress out there, right? I don't need to tell you what's going on in the television, right? I don't even recognize this country anymore. How could it be? How could it be? Right. Anyway, all right. So let's continue, right? All right. That's right, Serena. Feel it, accept it, and then let it go and laugh it off. Life is too freaking short. All right. Life is too freaking short, I'm telling you. And talking about shit, the best advice I ever got is a friend of mine who was actually my chief operating officer for a while. He's older than me. He's my mentor. And he says, Danny, don't sweat the small shit because the world is full of it. Don't sweat it because the world is full of it. All right? Okay. Now stretch your spine, lift up your shoulder, lean back, and then relax. This is the last exercise for the mindfulness of the feeling or mindfulness of the sensation. Left hand, right hand. Focus on the right hand. Bring it in front of you without moving the left hand. Bring it as far back as you can. Feel the pain. Accept that pain. Let go of the pain. Don't let it become suffering. Left hand, open it, feel it, accept it, and then let it go. Don't let it become you. Feel it, accept it, and then let it go. Sit up straight, feel it, accept it, and then let it go. Right hand, feel it, accept it, and then let it go. Left hand, sit up straight, feel it, accept it, and then let it go. Two more times, sit up straight, feel it, accept it, and then let it go. One last time, sit up straight, feel it, accept it, and then let it go. Back to the breathing exercise, one breath at a time. I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. One breath at a time. Okay? And talking about the body and the breath, being the intelligence agents to your mind, right? I talk about being mindful, intelligence, and being emotional intelligence. Talk about that, right? So again, a more serious answer to the student about how to um, uh, um, deal with a very stressful job, it comes back to two words: emotional intelligence, right? So um, the word intelligence is a beautiful word because it can be used in two ways. One is that how to use your emotion, how to manage your emotion intelligently. So when you're in a work environment, right? I used to be the CEO of two of my companies, and at one point I have like 200 employees, and with about three layers. So I have my vice president, my directors, my managers, and so forth. And you have to manage this structure, and you have to learn how to use your emotion intelligently. Doesn't mean that you don't have intelligence. Intelligence is a very powerful tool, and you have to use it intelligently. But at the same time, the word intelligence can mean central intelligence, right? The CIA. So you need to find who are the intelligence agents to your emotion, and it's the body and the mind. I'm the body and the breath. It's the body and the breath. And so you said, really? Yeah, really. Because you haven't been paying attention to your body and your breath. And when you start paying attention to your body and your breath, you realize that they've been talking to you, right? I remember back in the days, a long time ago now. I used to have a friend. I was This was after I finished my PhD. Before I became a professor, I worked 2 years for a big company, Kodak, which doesn't really exist anymore. And they had a lot of scientists. One of them is a Frenchman. Um, and Here's a funny story. He uh, he says, "Oh, when I applied, I forgot what he said, but he says they asked me if I was a veteran. I said yes. They didn't ask me what country." So anyway, he's a funny guy, and so I forgot what I wanted to say now. It's so funny. All right, it'll come back to me. All right. So now we're getting ready for meditation, which is another foundation, which is the foundation of the body, but not like body, like the structure of the body, but the existence of the body, which means the existence of your body is in your breath. So we are coming back to the breath now. Okay. And so before we get ready to do that, we need to kind of loosen up our body. We're going to let it go, right? We're going to let it go by relaxing. And so we're going to first do a stretchful exercise and called throwing the shoulder. So once again, back to the body, sit up straight, lift up the shoulder, relax, and then lift up our right arm. Get ready. Go. One, back to the shoulder. Two, back to the shoulder. Down, down, up, up, down, down. One last time. Up, up, down, down. Open the shoulder. Get ready. One, two, three, four, and five. Okay. All right. I'll remember now. And so I've been talking about the word emotional intelligence, to the student who asked that wonderful question. And you need to understand the word emotion intelligence by understanding that the body and the mind actually provides intelligence to your emotion. So when you're under stress and something is happening that you don't like, your body and your mind actually, body and your breath actually tells you. So I'm talking about my French friend who uh, who claimed that he was a veteran, which he was, but just not the same country. But anyway, the story was that he said, Denny, before I joined the army back in France, um, I never noticed that there's so many green jeeps in the street. Really? He said, yeah, because when you're army, that's all you see. And so when I got out, I see them again. Right? That's the point. We don't see the things that we're supposed to see because we don't see them. But when you start seeing them, ooh, it opens up a new world. So when you actually start paying attention to your body and how it feels, you understand that the body actually tells you things. That the intelligence is not just in the brain. This is the intellect, but your entire body provides intelligence. Right? Same goes with the breath, especially the breath. Right? All right. So now one more exercise before we get ready to practice our mindfulness. So back to the spine, stretch the spine, lift up the shoulder, lean back, open the shoulder, and then relax. Now take your thumb, put that in front of your shoulder, roll up your forefingers. Now focus on your elbow. Lift up the elbow, lift up the shoulder, lift up the entire upper torso as if you're bringing your shoulder to your ears. Now focus on your elbow again. Point your elbow back, which means that you're opening your shoulder. You open it as far as you can, as if you're squeezing a tennis ball in the back. Then you lower your elbow, you lower your shoulder, you relax. Finally, you point your elbow forward, you're looking straight down, you're bending your back, you're bending your neck. And from here, we lift up our elbow, look in towards the camera, close your eyes. We lift up as hard as we can. Then we open. We're looking at the ceiling 45-degree until we are completely open. Then we point the elbow down. We're looking straight ahead again. We continue until we're pointing the elbow out forward. We're looking at this floor. As we come up, we close the mouth. We take a deep breath gently all the way out. And then as we come down, we breathe out. We empty your stomach all the way down until the elbow is pointing forward. We breathe in again, in, and then breathe out. In, out. In, out. In, out. Breathe in, lift up your upper torso, open your shoulder, and then relax. Breathe out. Empty your stomach. Breathe in, breathe out. One last time. Breathe in, and then breathe out. Lower your hand back to the breath, one breath at a time. So this exercise actually activate your vagus nerve, which is a big part of your parasympathetic nerve, your rest and digest. Okay. All right. But you notice that when I say activate the rest and digest, I'm really talking about cycling between the two. It's really about the elasticity between the two, right? So, but there are things you can do to put yourself into the rest and digest, all right? And coming back to the question again, what do I do? Don't tell me all these far-fetched things that takes months to practice, but what do I do now when I'm really under stress? Well, you understand your posture. Let's understand your posture. So the human species is the only species in the animal kingdom capable of all four postures. We can sit, we can stand, we can lie down, and we can walk. Now, each of those postures is associated with an element. Sitting is the earth element if you sit properly. Standing is the fire element if you stand properly. Walking is the wind element, and lying down is the water element. So if you want to have a quick way to reduce your stress, you need to come back and sit properly so that you are the earth element and not the fire. Fire is when you use your muscle. And so the things that we do here is actually a very good tool if you're under stress. You come back, you sit, you focus on your lower part of your spine, you stretch your spine, you lean back, you relax. So you're not using any back muscle. You lift up your shoulder, you open your shoulder, and then you relax. You lean back your forehead, you tuck in your chin, so you're not using any neck muscle. And what you find is that already reduced stress. Now you come back to your breath, and if you're really under a lot of stress, you don't focus on the in breath. You focus on the out breath. The out breath is where you relax. The in breath is the energetic part. When you breathe in, you actually enter into fight or flight. It's when you breathe out that you come back to the rest and digest. So you focus on the out breath, and this time you open your mouth and you just blow air out of your mouth. And you feel that your stomach collapses as you do that because you're lifting up your diaphragm. And then you blow out as much as you can, and then you just relax. Air comes in to your nostril naturally. And then you do it one more time, and then you do it one more time. But make sure that when you blow out your air, you tell yourself, relax. Let the breathing part be natural so you're not adding more stress in your body. And then blow it out again. Relax as you do that. And that's it. That already relaxes you, right? So that is like, in case of emergency, pull the lever, do that, right? You can do that on your own, all right? Oh, okay, so now we're getting ready to do meditation, but a particular kind of meditation. This is actually tied to longevity, and longevity means a reduction of chronic inflammation. Right? I talk a lot about chronic inflammation and how all the modern disease are lifestyle disease. They're lifestyle disease, including cancer. Right? These days, our food chains are very well controlled. We're not going to die from eating inorganic food, let alone organic food. But a lot of times it's the stress that causes a body to deteriorate like that. And so it's all about inflammation. Now the body has a way of reducing inflammation. It's called the fight or flight. And in the Chinese, it's called the yang, the sun. And I call it what's visible. And the opposite of that is the fight or flight, the parasympathetic, where you actually relax and restore the sensitivity to the stress hormone. And yin in Chinese means the absence of the sun, or what I call the invisible. And it's all about the balance of the two. You need the fight or flight to reduce inflammation. You need the rest and digest to restore the sensitivity to your stress hormone, right? Because the problem we have these days is that we're under stress all the time. Chronic stress means chronic inflammation because you develop what's called cortisol resistance. So the first one is all about using the stomach, breathing with the stomach, which is not really true because the stomach is not capable of breathing, but neither is your lung. Your lung is not capable of breathing neither. Your lung has no muscle. The only muscle that you have is the diaphragm. So when you breathe, you actually lower the diaphragm, open your stomach. When you breathe out, you lift up your diaphragm to push out all the stale air. That's the way we used to breathe when we were a baby. We kind of lost that as we grow up. And so all we want to do now is to restore that. Now later on, when we do the breathing exercise, that is designed for learning how to maximize the use of diaphragm. But for now, we have a basic exercise. We sit up straight, we lean back, we relax, we lift up our shoulder, open the shoulder, relax it. We lean back the forehead, we tuck in the chin. We close our eye, but we don't shut it. We relax the eyelid. And then we take the tip of the tongue and put it behind the teeth, where the teeth meets the roof of the mouth to turn on our saliva gland. The saliva gland is the one thing that the fight or flight mode will shut off because the saliva gland, which the Chinese call the sliver, the J letter, is the letter, letter, given to you by the J emperor. Yeah, that's how they think, right? It's like holy water. And because it has enzyme that activates digestion and your immune system. So it's important that we have saliva. It's important that we hydrate, but it's even more important that we self-hydrate. So you do that by taking the tip of the tongue and just put it behind the teeth. And it also conducts the qi from the spine down, right? It's the electrical path as well. Now, after we have this posture, make sure that we use as little muscle as possible so we maintain the earth element. Then we start with noticing our breath. I know that I'm breathing in. I know that I'm breathing out. Now we're going to focus on the belly button. And when we know that we're breathing in, we're going to push out the belly button, opening the stomach, lowering the diaphragm. And when we know that we're breathing out, we're going to take that belly button and bring it back, closing the stomach, collapsing the stomach, lifting up the diaphragm. Okay? Basic practice. All right? So let's do that for, okay. Now we're going to come back and meditate some more. So let's just do that for 3 minutes now. Basic practice. Abdominal breathing. Breathe in, push out the belly button, opening the stomach, lowering the diaphragm. Breathe out, bring the belly button back. One breath at a time. Every time, examine your mind somewhere else, bring it back, anchor your mind. Okay. So this is the basic exercise to learn to breathe with your diaphragm by moving your stomach. Now, this by itself has a lot of health benefits. And first of all, the simplest thing it does is that you're using the diaphragm to massage your intestines. So it will actually help to relieve your constipation, right? So here we talk about yin and yang, and the Chinese doctor actually have words like yang deficiency and yin deficiency because you lost your harmony between yin and yang, and one side is more deficient than the other, or you can have both. Now, the question is that what does yang deficiency mean? Now, my simplest ways of thinking about it is yang is under the sun. All the activities that you're supposed to do well under the sun, you're not doing it well anymore. So, what are the two things that you normally do under the sun when the sun is out? Well, one is One problem is constipation, and the other problem is digestion. So those are the things that occur when the sun is out and when you have yang deficiency. Those are the two problems you have. Now, what is yin deficiency? Yin is the absence of the sun. So what are the things that you do? You're supposed to do well at night that you're not doing well. You're only doing one thing at night, which is to sleep. So you don't sleep well, that's a problem. So those are the three problems that we modern people always have: constipation, digestive problems, or insomnia. And they all tie back to this harmony between the yin and the yang. And so this simple stop sign exercise already helped towards that. All right. Now the second exercise that we're going to do, we've been calling it wandering dragon chasing the pearl. I'll come to that in a minute. So let's come back to the upper torso, stretch the spine, lean back, relax, lift up a shoulder, open a shoulder, relax, lean back a forehead, tuck in the chin, relax the eyelid, and then leave the tip of the tongue behind the teeth. Now we're going to continue to feel our breathing, but we don't anchor it on the belly button anymore. We're just here to feel our breath. I feel that I'm breathing in. My stomach actually opens slightly. It always does. It's just that you haven't been paying attention, like the green jeeps that my friend noticed after he got out from the military. And I noticed that when I breathe out, my stomach collapsed ever so slightly. I'm going to maintain that feeling, but now I'm going to anchor my mind on the lower part of my spine. And when I breathe in, as if there's a balloon inside of me, when I breathe in, I inflate the balloon. The balloon wants to rise. I let it rise on my spine from the very bottom of my spine towards the top of the head. I don't stop at the top of the head. I just let it go until I breathe out again. And once I breathe out, I start to deflate the balloon drops. And as it drops towards my belly button, I lean back as if I'm making way. And when I breathe in, I let it rise on my spine all the way above the head, relax, wait for the out breath, and then I let it come back down. I lean back, I relax until it returns to my belly button. Now we call this the dragon chasing the pearl. The pearl is like the balloon the dragon likes to chase. The pearl in this case is actually your chi. Chi rises on your spine, chi comes back from the front, and the dragon is your mind. You're just chasing it, following it. But it's a wandering dragon, which means that you don't stop on your big brain. You just let it go. You let it go. And then you come back. Okay? Now let's sit for uh, another 3 minutes and then we'll do more exercise. And then after all that, we're going to do some more sitting. All right? I just want to go through the technique. It's very simple. Breathe in, let it rise. Stretch your spine towards the ceiling as you do that. When you breathe out, lean back as if you're making way. Let it come back. Relax. Breathe in. Stretch your spine. Breathe out. Come back to your stomach. Okay, open your eyes. We're going to continue after more exercise, all right? Now, I keep using the word anchoring, right? Because I think one of the Dharma lecture, Dharma talk I did on mindfulness, and mindfulness, the Pali word is sati. Sati means to remember. It was the name of a princess, remember? A princess and also a goddess. So it's remembering, and it's very important to understand that because too often we we turn our practice into silos. So these people are saying they're mindfulness, these people are saying they're Zen, these people are saying that they're Vipassana. They built this silo, but the reality is that each one is a stepping stones towards a goal. And you have to have mindfulness, you have to have Vipassana, and you have to have Zen in all your practice. It's just all the pieces, the what I call the 37 factors of enlightenment. But the word anchoring is particularly important, and I find it important to use it to represent mindfulness, especially now, right? For the first time in my life as an American citizen, it was 50 years since I became an American citizen. Um, 5 years after I came here, it's the first time in my life as American citizens where the country is consumed, totally consumed by hate and division and focus on um, grievance versus governance. This is a very scary time for me, and this is the first time where um, all the branches of the government, all four of them, not three, all four of them, are under the spell of a very small group of people. Executive branch, legislative branch, and judicial branch, as well as the so-called media. And you might say, well, that's not true. MSNBC and PBS, they're not controlled. They are. They are. They're not controlled financially, but they're controlled by the dialogue, right? They only talk about things that the opposition talks about, as opposed to um, breaking that mold. It's a very dangerous time for us as a human being. And this is the time where they might have all their faculties under control. And the last thing you can protect is your emotion. If they have your emotion too, you're done. You're done. And so it's very important. This is a very dangerous time. It's as if we're in a big storm. You need to anchor your mind. And I told this story before. I came to the United States in 1971, June 16. And my family actually lived in Macau. I was born and raised in Macau, which is a small island on the other side of the Pearl Delta. And small town, only about 400,000 people. And so there were no flight, there were no airport. And so we had to cross the Delta to Hong Kong and take the international flight to San Francisco. And we back then we had to take this overnight boat ride on a big diesel boat. Takes an entire evening to get there. In front of the night, actually overnight. And these days, 15 minutes all you take on a hydrofoil. It's not that far. But back then, it was a big boat, and all of us got in there. And that was in June. In August, the same vessel got caught in a level 10 typhoon, which is the maximum. And so they, in order to ride out the typhoon, they anchored themselves off the big island, but the anchor broke. And so the entire vessel drifted away and everyone died. Everyone died. And so I remember that. It was just 2 months. We could have been on that boat, right? Anchoring is that important. Learn to anchor your mind on your body when you're moving, whether you're walking, you exercise, anchor your mind on your breath when you're not walking. Whether you're sitting, you're standing, or you're lying down, especially when you lie down, make your sleep part of your meditation. Lie down on your bed, relax, focus on your breath, one breath at a time, right? You got to make sure that you have really good quality sleep, to ride out the storm. All right, so let's do more exercise. We're going to be stretching, but not stretching the muscle, but stretching the connective tissue. Okay, so the connective tissue is actually what we call the meridians. All right, now the most important connective tissue is your diaphragm. It's second to the diaphragm that is between your left brain and your right brain. So the exercise that we just did, where we cycle the chi in and out, is in reality is cycling the chi between the two most important diaphragm in your body. The diaphragm that enable your breath, and the diaphragm that enables your separation between um, your rational brain and your emotional brain. Okay, and also maintaining the balance. So these days, more and more understandings are there for people who suffer from dementia, and but it all comes back to inflammation. All right, so we did that. We're going to come back to that. And let's just do more stretching exercise. And let's sit up straight, stretch, lift up, lean back, relax. We're going to do 3 deep breaths to exercise the diaphragm, but also stretching the, the connective tissue, the, chi, the chi channels. All right, now we're going to lock our fingers, put that below our belly button. We're going to take a 3 deep breath from here to here, following the center of your palm. As you breathe in, you lift up your body. Get ready? Breathe in. And then breathe out. Lock your elbow, look straight ahead. Point the center of your palm outward, and then use your shoulder to climb the mountain. Back. Breathe in. Breathe out. Look straight ahead. Climb the mountain. Stretch your arm. One last time. Breathe in. Breathe out. Look straight ahead. Climb the mountain. And then back. Palm facing up. Palm facing down. Palm goes down. Lock your elbow. Looking straight ahead. Bring up your hand. Palm facing forward. Palm facing the sky. Lean back slightly. And then push towards the ceiling as hard as you can. Then lean back. Hold it. Come back to the middle. Push as hard as you can. And then entire upper torso lean to the left. Hold it. Come back to the middle. Push again. Entire upper torso lean to the right. Come back. Push again towards the left. Come back to the middle. One last time. Push to the right. Come back. Focus on the center of your palm. Bring it back down the same way you brought it up. Completely relax. Stretch your spine again. Lift up the shoulder. Open the shoulder. Relax. Right palm on the left shoulder. Lean back the forehead so you're putting pressure on the right shoulder. Take your left hand. Grab your right shoulder, right elbow. Sit up straight and then stretch to the left. Come back the other way. Lean back, putting pressure on the left shoulder. Grab the left elbow. Lean to the right and then come back. Back to the breath. Check to see if you're huffing and puffing. Focus on your breath, one breath at a time. I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. Back to the body, stretch, lift up your shoulder, open your shoulder, lean back and relax. Left palm facing up, fingers forward. Right palm, put that on top of the left palm between the hand, fingers in the palm. Bring down the left hand, push the left shoulder, left elbow. Looking straight ahead, bring up your left arm, palm facing forward, locking your elbow. Sit up straight without turning your upper torso. Bring the left arm to the right, all the way to the right. Come back, relax. Now left hand, sit up straight, bring it down, lock your elbow, looking straight ahead, elbow up, palm facing forward. And then without turning your upper torso, bring the right arm to the left. Come back, completely relax, back to the breath. I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. Once again, stretch your spine, lift up your shoulder, lean back and relax. Right palm facing up, left palm facing down. Turn your wrist 90 degrees. Focus on your right palm as if you're pushing the sky up. Bring it all the way up until you lock your elbow. Now to the left palm, as if you're pushing the earth down, push it all the way down until you lock your elbow. Bring back the right arm, turn your head to the left, stop at the shoulder. Keep turning your eyes as if you're looking at your back. Bring back your eyes, bring back your head, relax. The other way, open your shoulder, push the sky. Now to the right arm, push the earth. Lean back the left arm, turn your head to the right. Keep turning your eyes until you look back into your back. Bring back and then relax. Now to the spine. Stretch your spine, lift up your shoulder, open your shoulder, relax. Fingers crossing, palm facing up, palm facing down. Focus on your palm and the top of your head. Push down the hands, lock your elbow. Now focus on top of your head and the center of your palm. Okay, now palm down, head up, one down. Stretch your spine and then relax. Lean back the forehead so you're looking at the ceiling, 45 degrees. Now lift up your arm as much as you can and then relax. Back to the breathing. I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. Now stretch your spine, lift up your shoulder, open your shoulder. Put your right palm on your back. Lean back your forehead so you're looking straight ahead. And then lift up your right shoulder and then relax the other hand. Lean back the forehead, lift up your left shoulder, and then relax. Take your right palm back at the lower part of your spine, 2 fingers pointing the left shoulder. Bring down your right shoulder, bring up your fingers, and then relax the other one. Bring down your left shoulder and your fingers up. Now take the other hand, fingers touching, looking straight ahead. Okay, now lift up your right shoulder, bring down your left shoulder, one up, one down. And then the other way. Lift up your left shoulder and then relax. Back to the breath, one breath at a time. I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. Stretch your spine, open the shoulder, lean back, relax. Put your palms together, fingers facing down, looking straight ahead, fingers pointing up. Bring up your palm, center the palm touching each other. And then use your palm to push your spine forward. And then at the same time, lean back and open your shoulder. One forward, one back. Maintain that pressure. Focus on your breath. One breath at a time. And then relax. Back to the breath. I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. One breath at a time. Okay? All right, so let's go to the floor. We're going to continue with the joint exercise. Work on your knee, which is like your elbow, your heel, which is like your wrist, and your hip, which is like your shoulder. Okay? So first, the knee. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now to the heel, right heel first. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Left heel. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now to the toes. We stand on the bottom. We stand firmly on the bottom, on the ground. We open our shoulder, lean back the forehead, tuck in the chin. Focus on top of the head, and then lift up. So you're standing on your toes. You're looking straight ahead. You anchor your mind on top of your head, not at your toes. And then when you come down, you slightly impact the heel. Make sure you're standing on the soft surface. Second time. And down. One last time. And down. Now we're going to stand on the left foot with balance first. We focus on top of the head, and we're going to kick the right foot once, come back to the top of the head, 2, 3, looking straight ahead, the other way, balance first, 1, 2, and 3. Now to the hip. We're going to stand on the right foot. We're going to bring it back to the left foot. We're going to form that straight line between the heel, the knee, the hip, and the shoulder, and we're going to turn around that axis all the way. Then we're going to come back and relax. Second time. Relax. One last time. And then relax. Okay. Now we're going to stand on the left foot. Bring it back onto the right. Form that straight line and turn forward. Relax. Second time. Forward. And then relax. One last time. Forward. Backward. And relax. Okay. Now we're ready for the breathing exercise. Now this set of breathing exercises is amazing. It's very well special purpose designed, and it does many things. First of all, it's a meditation. You anchor your mind on the body when you're moving. And then we also had a chance to do standing meditation where we anchor our mind on the breath. But it also does something else. It also cycles you between the energetic and the restorative. When you breathe in, it's energetic. When you breathe out, it's restorative. The difference that the elasticity between the two is measured by something called heart rate variability. And there's a correlation between HRV and dementia. That it turns out that if you could actually cycle between the two, you reduce inflammation in your brain. And less than actually reverse in cases. There's been study on that. Energetic is when you heal your body using, which first one is just focus on your hand, bring it up, breathe in, and then breathe out, relax. Breathe in, breathe out, and then relax. Okay, breathing in, body enters into fight or flight. And then when you breathe out, body centers into the rest and digest. Both of them are important. One heals you, one maintains the healing power. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Okay, breathe in, cross your hand, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Straight down, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. One last time, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. All right, so now we're going to do standing meditation. And if you want to know how to stand properly, just remember what I said. You sit properly is when you enter into the earth element. You're not using muscle, you're using only the bone structure. When you stand properly is when you enter into the fire element, where you use your muscle. Okay, so to stand properly actually means that you're loosening up your knee. So you're using the calf, which is the second part. You actually allow the circulations, right? So fire elements basically means your circulation of your oxygen, all right? So to stand properly, you're loosening up your knee a little bit. You don't have to do like this, just loosening up your knee so you can use your calf. Now, sometimes we don't stand well, then you can lock your knee, which is fine too, okay? All right, so all we have to do now is loosening up our knee, open the shoulder, loosening up the shoulder, lean back the forehead, tuck in the chin, loosening up the forehead, loosening up our eyelid, and then now focus on our breath, one breath at a time. I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. Another one. I know I'm breathing in. So remember I talked about the analogy of like putting money in the piggy bank, one coin at a time, right? Once you let go of the coin, you don't think about it anymore. Once you finish one breath, you don't think about it anymore. You focus on the next one. Okay, now the next one is called the balloon breathing. Right foot forward, we lean back, so you're looking at the ceiling 45-degree, and the toes on the right foot is pointing up. Then you take your hand, you follow the center of your palm, you roll your body forward, so you're looking at the floor 45-degree, and your left heel is up. Then you bring back, and as you roll forward, you breathe in. As you lean back, you breathe out. One breath at a time. Breathe in and breathe out. In, out, in, out. One breath at a time. Breathe in, enter into fight or flight. Breathe out, enter into rest and digest. One breath at a time. Breathe in, breathe out. In, and then out. Okay, now follow the center of your palm, bring it down. Go from the center of your palm to the center of the bottom of your feet. Come back to the standing position. Another minute of standing meditation, one breath at a time. Okay, now left foot first, front, and then breathe in, breathe out. Relax. Breathe in, breathe out. In, out. One breath at a time. In, out. In, out. One breath at a time. Breathe in and breathe out. Lower your hand. Come back to the standing position. Now focus on your breath. One breath at a time. Okay. Now, this third one is called butterfly. Now, this one is very robust because it's counterintuitive. When you collapse your lung, you breathe in. When you expand your lung, you breathe out, meaning that you're forcing you to use the diaphragm. It's a very good one, okay? Now, it requires that you completely anchor your mind on the center of your palm. You're looking straight ahead, and then follow to center of your palm as you lower them, lower your knee, follow them again as you bring back your knee and you raise your heel, standing on your toes until the back of the hand are touching each other. As you come down, you collapse your lung, you breathe in, pushing down the diaphragm. As you stand up, you expand your lung, you breathe out, pushing up your diaphragm. Very robust. Breathe in, breathe out. In, out. Close your mouth. In, out. In, out. In, out. One last time. Breathe in, breathe out. Lower your hand, lower your heel, and then back to the breath, one breath at a time. Now, standing meditation is actually a little easier because it's very hard to have your mind drifting away because the minute it drifts away, you will fall. So actually, you're easier to anchor your mind one breath at a time. One breath at a time is when we practice diligence. Is that triangle that I mentioned? Remember, faith, diligence, and mindfulness. Right? Faith, diligence, and mindfulness is basically the core of the 12 steps. All right. So now this is called the balloon breathing. I imagine that there's a balloon in front of me and I move up all the way up and then I come down all the way down and then push. Okay. It could be a balloon, could be a water wheel, whatever works for you. Okay. As I bring up your hand, I breathe in all the way down. As I push, I breathe up. Now, as I breathe in, I open a shoulder and then breathe out. I'm completely focused on the sensation. I don't judge. I don't judge you. I don't judge me. I don't judge anything. I just feel it. Completely focus on letting go of my intellect and focus on the much more powerful part of my intelligence, which is my spine, which is responsible for sensation. Breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. In, and then out. Come back. Another minute. Okay. Breathe in. Breathe out. In. Out. In. Out. In. Out. In. Out. Breathe in. Breathe out. One last time. In. Out. Come back to the standing. This is the last 1 minute standing meditation. Okay. Now the last one is mainly about the adrenal gland. Okay. Adrenal gland is where you put out the stress hormone, and oftentimes we so overuse this the gland that it's not it's not active anymore. So when you stand up and down, you change the gravity, center of gravity, you get a lightheadedness because it doesn't react fast enough. So this is about that. So let's sit up, just stand up straight, and then you just kind of massage the kidney, the adrenal gland. Okay, before we do this one, okay, ready? Breathe in, breathe out, open your knee, and then bend your back as you breathe out. And then now stand up, breathe in, and then all the way, bend your back. Okay, second time, breathe out, breathe in, and then relax. One last time, breathe out, breathe in, and then relax. Lower your hand, walk back slowly, one step at a time. Anchor your mind on the bottom of your feet. Now go from the bottom of your feet to your palm again. Feel your palm as you adjust your sitting apparatus. And then we're going to do 5 minutes of meditation. You can choose, if you cannot feel your stomach, then focus on the belly button. If you can feel your stomach, especially now after the breathing exercise, you can actually feel your stomach. Then you cycle it from the back to the front between the energetic and the restorative. The energetic is the fight or flight, where you release stress hormone to heal your inflammation, and then you go cycle it into the restorative, which is the rest and digest, to restore your self-healing power, to restore your sensitivity to the cortisol. Okay, choose your technique. 5 minutes. Okay, open your eyes. Now, before we leave, let's do a little bit of massage. Just put the hands together, focus on the center of your palm. Imagine you have a circle and just put your hands together. Energize this energy point that can actually give out positive energy. There's only one. And then now massage the face from the forehead to the chin. Massage the side of the face. Put the center of your palm on top of the temple. Massage in between your eyebrow. Feel the stress you accumulated here. Massage the forehead. Massage where their hair comes to a point. There's another energy point here. Massage the part of the brain that is responsible for all your cognitive functions. Move to the top, slightly back, the part that is responsible for your memory. Further down, the part that is responsible for your motor functions. Then the neck, then above the ears, back to the Phillies, and then back to the fingers. All right. Okay. So as is customary during this, as Janice would say, these very difficult time, it's time to do our Dharma talk. Now, one of the comments that was made was that from from let me see, Lucida, and she said, "There's a saying that said the last of the human freedoms is to choose your attitude in any given situation." That is a very good one. That actually ties into my talk today, which is coming from the saying that says, "Living well is the best revenge." Revenge. The idea is that the best way to get even is not to seek revenge and be consumed by the negative energy, but to focus your mental power on a brighter future, to live a good life in spite of the darkness. That's my attitude. And but at the same time, it's very realistic because, as I said before, the Dharma talk I did on the year of the snake, I said we should learn from the snake. The snake is a divine animal. It's often called this little dragon, and it doesn't um, hibernate. Right? It's cold-blooded animal, so it doesn't hibernate. It doesn't isolate itself from the reality of the world. But instead, what it does is that it slows down all its biological biofunctions and just to stay away from all the chaos and madness and tyranny and the fear mongering and the division for now, right? For now, just let them kind of form their circular, what they call circular firing squad, and let them destroy themselves for a little while. But at the same time, being very aware, and so that we can strike back when the time comes. It won't be long. Midterm elections is coming, and as in all um, in the past, the opposition party typically regained the Congress. So that's going to happen. So wait for that. But in the meantime, I'm going to use the time and again learn from the snake, which does something unique, which is to shed the skin. So in a way, we need to conserve our energy, maintain our spiritual health, and shed whatever it is that didn't work for us and begin our renewal. So my point is that let's take 2025 be the year of the dragon, and let's learn from the divine dragon and just bit our time. And in the meantime, we need to learn how to live well and prosper. And that's the title of last week's talk, which comes from this. Remember? Live well and prosper. If you don't know what that means, you're in the wrong class. But today I'm going to talk about something that I've been meaning to talk about in the past, which is something called the blue zones. So there's a very famous book and a very famous television show that talks about these regions around the world where people live a long, healthy life. And the author calls it the blue zones. And these blue zones include, where he did the study, include Okinawa, Japan, include island in Italy, include the western region, a part of Costa Rica, um, include another island in Greece, and then include a community in Southern California called Loma Linda, where the Seventh-day Adventists live. Seventh-day Adventists are vegetarians, as you know, because Bible says that we ought to be vegetarians, right? It says in the book of Genesis that after God created the Garden of Eden, our job is to take care of the animals and eat from the trees. And the idea is that we shouldn't be eating the animals. And I don't know much about the other regions. I've been to Italy. I haven't been to Greece yet. I, I've been to Costa Rica, but not to the area that they mentioned. But I've been to Japan many, many times. And one of the reasons that I go to Japan so often is that it's the only place that I can find the Zen culture. Again, Zen comes from the Chinese word called Chan, which is abbreviation for Chana, which comes from the Sanskrit word called jhana, which means sentimentation. The idea is that um, you, whatever it is that you feel, whether it's joy or pain, you feel it, you accept it, and then you let it go by settling it, like the way that you would treat a glass of water full of debris. You just let it settle and not disturb it. That's what Zen means. And Zen culture came to Japan in the Tang Dynasty more than 1500 years ago. But it basically have disappeared in China. So I don't see that culture in China. Only place I can see it is in Japan. And so I go there for that. And so I know a lot about the Japanese culture. And so this article that I post in my show notes um, talks about what's common in these blue zones, and there are titles. First one is called Purpose. So instead of regurgitating from the article, I will use the bullet point to talk about my understanding, my experience with the Zen culture as is practiced in Japan. Now, keep in mind that the Japanese don't know that they're practicing Zen culture. They think that they're practicing the Japanese culture. Okay, it's only me that understand that that is truly Zen. First of all, the first bullet point is called move naturally. Exercise, but move naturally. So in Japan, they don't actually exercise, but they integrate the exercise into their daily routines. They don't actually retire. They don't go to work. They don't get a salary. They live on pension, but they don't stop working. In the rural, I'm talking about the rural Japan where I go. I don't go to Tokyo, Kyoto. I stay away from all the big cities. I only go to the rural Japan where I can still see the culture. In the major town, major city, you see what you see here. You have the fast food, you have the people. It's the same, but in the rural Japan is where you see the Zen culture. And so the first bullet is move naturally. And as I said, they don't actually exercise as a separate activity. They incorporate that into their daily life. They don't actually spend that much time, unless they're immobile anymore. They don't actually spend much time just sitting in front of the television. They continue to work. They work the field. They grow their own vegetables. They work in the stall. It's very often that when we drive in the world, we see a place that we recognize as a restaurant because they always have this banner that they hang. And when you see this banner, then they know that it's a shop and it's open. When you don't see the banner, then they're not open. And you walk in and you see three generations of family working together. And even when the grandmother cannot work, she would be out there, smiling and all that. Everybody works. Everybody works. All the exercise that they did are incorporated into the daily routine. To the extent that they exercise separately, Um, the exercise is not to beat the body into submission, but rather to enhance um, the, the healing and also reduce inflammation in the body. So, move naturally is the first bullet from this article, which I used to kind of summarize my experience with the Zen culture. The second one is called purpose. Purpose is very important, especially for aging. The Japanese, they don't confuse aging with dying. Dying, it's a cemetery is full of people who are dead, but they're not necessarily old people. Dying is dying, aging is aging, right? So they don't confuse the two. They enjoy their life, they enjoy their retirement, and they live day by day. Every day there's a purpose. They find joy in simplicity, simple life, and they have a common purpose in helping each other. They live in a very precarious place. It's an island. It's actually made of thousands of islands. Four of them are bigger than the others. So there are four major islands. And every day there's earthquake. And when there's an earthquake that we hear about, then there's tsunami and there's flood and mudslides and all that. It's just natural disasters every day. But they have a purpose to survive together. They actually have a purpose to survive together. I'm reminded of a story that I heard about a guy who uh, passed away and walked up to the St. Peter's gate. And St. Peter says, "Ooh, look at your life. You belong in hell." And the guy said, "Really? What happened?" "Well, you know what you did." And the guy said, "No, no, 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 no. That's not true. It's just show me hell first, and then I'll tell you if I belong there." So St. Peter's brought him to this dining hall with a long, long table and full of food. I mean, all kinds of food, good food, desserts and meats and all that. And the guy says, "That's hell?" I said, "Well, take a look." And you notice that they have these utensils, this fork and spoons, but they're very long. They're really, really long. So you see all this food in front of you, but you can't eat it. You grab it and you just can't eat it. And so they fight for it. And so they use this as a weapon. They hit each other, trying to get at the food. So St. Peter says, "Well, that's hell." And the guy says, "No, but I want to see heaven. I think I belong in heaven." And St. Peter says, "Okay, but one last look." So he brought him to the second chamber. He opened the door. And again, there's the same long dining table. Again, there's food and desserts and all the good stuff. And the guy says, that look just like hell." Because he also has uh, these utensils with long handle. And then St. Peter said, "Well, take a look." And they notice that people there, instead of fighting each other, they take the long spoon and they feed each other. I remember the story, and that's the difference between hell and heaven. We are in hell now. This country is now in hell because we choose a very small minority. I talk about this. I'm very faith. I have a lot of faith in our country. I talk about how only 100,000 people made a difference. But in any case, a small minority of people hijacked our country and focus on hate and division and turn it into hell. Someday we're going to take it back. It will be the same country, but then we choose to live in harmony and choose compassion and loving kindness. Then we have it. And so the Japanese, they believe in helping each other in spite of all the volatility. They actually lower the price whenever there's an earthquake. They don't gouge. They actually voluntarily lower the price of the food just so that people can afford it. The third bullet is called downshift. People live a much more slower life, slow food, slow living. So you notice that people are move in a very different pace. So people ask me, say, "Well, Danny, when you go to Japan, do you take the train?" I say, "Yeah, I used to take the train, but now I drive." "But they drive on the wrong side of the street." I said, "It doesn't matter. People drive so slow." They really drive very slow. They live a very slow life. They don't actually meditate. There are very few true meditators in Japan. But for my eyes, they meditate all day long because they meditate through simple tasks. As simple as going to a store where you buy a sandwich, not in a 7-Eleven, but in a traditional shop where you buy a mochi or some, they take the time to wrap it and then present it to you. They take the time to take your money, count it, and everything is very slow, very mindful. So they are in fact practicing the triangle, the foundation of what someone says, faith, diligence, and mindfulness. Everything they do, they're focused. They're giving you the best. They continue to modify, to improve what they do. That's called diligence. And they have faith in their existence. Their culture is such that their emperor, they believe the emperor is divine, that the emperor is the descendant of God. Therefore, they are the descendants of God. They have faith in their existence. Another bullet is called the 80% rule. The idea is that 80% is you only eat 80% full. But it's not just that. It's not just that. They don't just eat, not overeat, only about 80%. So I'm not used to that. So when I go at first, I said, well, that's not enough food for me. But then what you find is that if you take it slow and you take your time to chew your food and all that, and when you finish, you're not up to here, you're full. But it's just that we're used to, you're used to the feeling where we're really full. But then over time, you feel like, oh yeah, actually, you're full enough. But it's not just in their eating habit, is that they consume in quality. Everything is very expensive in Japan because it costs a lot of money to provide quality, right? They could easily import rice from Thailand, but they don't. They would rather eat their own rice, which are hand grown, and they taste different. Everything tastes different in Japan because everything is quality, and that's what they do. They consume in quality. They don't overeat. They enjoy to eat. They eat to enjoy, but they don't eat to indulge. They chew the food slowly, right? They actually say thanks before and after the meal, not in words, but in gesture. They actually put the chopsticks together and bow. They finish and they bow again. Okay? Eating time is the family time. They gather together, they eat together, right? So, if you trace the origin of a handshake, the idea is that you open your hand to show that you don't have any um, hidden weapons. The idea of eating together is also how you express your faith and a sense of security among those people you eat together, right? Because you're not being poisoned. So eating together is actually a communal activity from the very beginning. The next item is called plant slant, plant over meat. Obviously, they use chopsticks, not knife and forks. So whatever they consume is in small pieces. They like the meat. They definitely like the meat. They don't overeat the meat. Meat is not their main course. They eat it as a delicacy. So when we go to a fancy restaurant, it's always meat. But then they're on their own, they don't eat that much meat, right? They eat a lot more vegetable. Now, when it comes to eating, it's very important. They definitely eat according to the season, and they eat locally, right? So on the road, you don't see a lot of big trucks, with food because they eat locally. One of the things that we like to do when we travel is that we would drive, and then whenever we see a sign that says road like rest stop, we get really excited. So we go there and you realize that it's not just a place where you get gasoline. In fact, many of them don't have provision for that. but instead it's a place with shops, and people will shop because they will shop local food, local items. And in the beginning, my wife is not used to that, and she said, "Maybe we'll go to the next stop." I said, "No, no, no. When you go to the next stop, you're not going to see this anymore, right?" So everything they consume, they consume locally, and they consume according to the season. And a lot of the things are not necessarily fresh; they are preserved, but they preserve naturally um, with fermentation and not with preservatives. So there, in the rural area, there's almost no artificial preservative. Everything is preserved is using fermentation. And as you know, fermentation is very important for your proactive, probiotic health, right? That and soluble fiber. For example, in Japan, you cannot call something soy sauce if it's not fermented naturally. Now, all soy sauce in America, in the West, are in China, are fermented artificially. But in Japan, you cannot do that and call it soy sauce. In addition to that, they have nattos, which is stinky beans, like cheese, and they have miso. Miso is very important, right? Okay, so they do that. The next one is called wine at 5 p.m. I believe in that. That's my Alexa. Now, of course, in Japan, they don't consume wine as in great wine. Here I do, right? Because we have plenty of wine. I drink my wine. I drink my red wine mostly. I don't like white wine all that much. Red wine. But in Japan, they drink the sake, which is fermented, naturally fermented rice wine. Okay. Next one is called belong. They don't age alone. They don't age. They always belong to something. And there's no disagreement between Buddhism and Shintoism. Two coexist. They have different purpose in their life. Shintoism is not a belief in deity. People don't understand that. It's not a belief in God, but a belief in the divine, that there is spirit in this world, and we are human being is just a inhabitants, and in order to live in harmony, we must be in harmony with the nature. So taking care of the planet Earth is not something that is nice to do, but it's something that is very important to do. And so one of the things that I do a lot in Japan is go to what they call onsen, which is the hot spring. And you will notice that in the hot springs, they have these shrines. And the idea is that they have to be in harmony with the deity that is protecting the water in order for the water to heal. So the respect for the environment is built into the culture. One of the things that impresses me about the Japanese culture in the sense of belonging is how they treat the children. The children go to school, they have responsibilities. They are taught to clean up after themselves. They are taught to um, share functions like cleaning the hallway, cleaning windows. Little kids. And in America, we say, wow, that's exploitation. Not only that, when I go to these hot springs, I see father and mother. We have separate bath, women and men. The father would take the son, and the wife would take the daughter. And I noticed that taking your son to the hot bath is part of their family education. Is actually teaching the kid not just the etiquette of how to do a bath, but showing them how to do it in such a way that respects other people. The culture is such that you leave it better than you found it. So before you jumped into the water, you walk in. First of all, it's silence, noble silence. Taking a hot bath is a meditative process. They don't know that. And you remain silent. You don't shout. You don't run around. You walk in mindfully. You take off all your clothes. You put it in the basket or a drawer. Little kids are taught that. Then you take a towel. You put that, you cover whatever you want to cover. It's a very small one. You walk in, and before you get into the hot water, you scrub yourself down from top to bottom completely. Then again, you take the small towel, cover wherever you want to cover. You walk down to the water. You take the towel, you put it on top of your head because that piece of towel had touched your body, and you're not supposed to put it back in the water to contaminate the body. You always leave it better than you found it. When you go to a temple or a shrine, at the bottom of the staircase of the stairs, there is a place where you cleanse yourself. These are like holy water. Usually they have very dragons and so very very decorative. There is a little bucket with a long stick, and you take the water, you clean your hands, you clean your face, you do all that. And the very last thing you do is that you hold on to that long handle. You take another bucket of water, and you do it in such a way that the water comes down, clean the stick, and then you put it back. You leave it better than you found it, belonging. Finally, put loved one first. Put loved one first. They live together, multi generations. They unconditional love to the family, unconditional to the neighbors, and finally finding the right tribe. So living well is the best revenge. And living well doesn't mean living well materially. We must live well spiritually as well. Let's take the time. Let's take the time and give us an opportunity to live well and prosper. Okay? Let us be blessed with health, with peace, and with happiness. Namaste. See you all next week. Bye bye, everyone. Thanks again for all the donations. And everything will be recorded as usual, okay? And all the notes will be in the YouTube video that I added. See you all next week. Bye bye.